Cholera hits the country's economic capital, Douala, and medical officials take special measures to avoid the spread of the disease. In this edition of the news, we tell you the measures that are being taken in different hospitals to avoid the spread of cholera in the city of Douala. Also in this newscast, presidential hopefuls scramble to deposit their candidacy files at the elections governing body main office in the nation's capital, Yaoundé. As we speak, Cabra Libi, accompanied by dozens of youths, is currently depositing his own files ahead of the 7th of October 2018 presidential election in the country. Plus, CPP, Manidem, and the UPC political parties respond to Paula Tanganji after he recognized other suspended members of the said political parties. In this edition of the news, we look at the legality of the ministerial decision. Those are headlines. We shall be right back with the details. Stay with us. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for joining us in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinoxe Television. We begin right away on a rather sad note. One person died and another seriously injured following a ghastly road accident which took place yesterday in Bankante, West region of Cameroon. The incident occurred following a brake failure, and it involved a heavy-duty truck that was transporting cement from the littoral region of Cameroon to the west region of the country. Details with Sumanjik and Gabriel.
It was at about 8 a.m. Wednesday that this lorry entering from the west region from Douala carrying cement tumbled off at the entrance of Bangante. Before the arrival of the Equinoxe television team, the occupants of the lorry had already been transported to the Bangante district hospital. But persons we met on the incident site say the car witnessed a brake failure as it was descending into Bangante. On the site, Good Samaritans aided to transport the bags of cement from the lorry to another car at the same time, liberating the road that was partially blocked. It is alleged that the cement was heading to a business enterprise in Bangante. Out of 3 occupants of the lorry, 1 was still alive and told us, "We were descending the hill before the car witnessed a brake failure. That is how we struggled to put the car where you saw it." Meanwhile, the lifeless body of another occupant was deposited at the Bangante District Hospital mortuary.
And here in the country's economic capital, Douala, a heavy-duty truck transporting cement as well emptied its content in an accident this afternoon at Beseke. That was this afternoon at exactly 1:30 p.m. The truck driver is trying to negotiate a bend beside the Littoral Territorial Gendarmerie Brigade, lost control and tumbled a portion on a portion of the road to which is said to be having potholes. The state of the road in that part of the Douala 1 subdivision has been highly criticized by road users. Enormous material damage was recorded as a result of the incident. On to another story here in the country's economic capital, Douala. Still, 3 suspected car traffickers have been arrested by elements of the Territorial Brigade in the littoral region of Cameroon. The operation, spearheaded by the brigade commander Colonel Mvondi, was carried out Wednesday in the night after the Gendarmerie unit was alerted of the arrival of vehicles from Gabon which were reportedly stolen by the traffickers and the immatriculation plates altered. The bandits were about selling the vehicle with the fake number plates to the tune. They were about selling it for about 10 million francs CFA. They were arrested by and placed under police custody. They are Nkomo Raoul, Teku Jacob, as well as Abesolo Pierre. The other gang members are on the run and investigations are on course. We now talk about the result of the technical baccalaureate examinations in the English subsystem of education that were made public today in Cameroon, Atlanta, or at the Atlanta Bilingual Comprehensive High School in Bonaberi of the Douala 4 municipality. We can see how students were jubilating after making it in exams. A majority of students came from the conflict-hit northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon, but they had to work hard day in, day out to be successful. Let's now have an excerpt of some of the successful candidates in the technical probatoire examination.
I went for the back academic year 2017-2018. I'm very happy because I had my back, and also happy because all my classmates had the back too with me, because we had 100%.
So happy this evening because I passed my probatoire. We wrote in the class about 29 of us, and we were successful the 26 of us because our class worked together as a team, and we are so happy to see the good grade and the good result because we merited it, and thanks to the teacher who gave us the effort, who assisted us.
I'm from the Northwest region. Since due to the issue of strike, I came here to see if I can secure my success. So unfortunately, we thank God that things were going well the way I expected. So I'm very happy to have it this year. I'm so glad. I'm so happy for my other classmates, my mates. We have all made it together. I'm so happy.
And the co-founder of the Alanta Balingwa Comprehensive High School in Bonabera of the Douala 4 municipality in the following excerpt is going to be coming back to the overall performance of students of the said academic institution. He is also going to be telling us how they managed to upgrade the educational standards of the students, especially those who came from the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. Mr. Ruben Domo was speaking to Equinoxe television.
Because we sent in the probatoire a total of 98 candidates, and 86 were successful, giving a percentage of 87.76%. At the level of the back, we sent in a total of 45 candidates, and 35 passed, giving a percentage of 77.78%. So if you look at the results, statistics, at the national level, you realize that Alanta has produced one of the best results as far as both the probatoire and the back are concerned. We are proud of the administration, and though there were a little bit of obstacles and a little bit of ambiguity on the aspects of those who came from the regions, but with the tactics and the managerial skill of the proprietors, we had to fit in extra hours and did a lot of catch-up classes so that those who came from the regions were able to meet up. And at the end, the success is a generalized success because everybody is jubilating.
We actually received some students from the northwest and the southwest region this academic year. Some of them actually came in because of the problems over there. Some of them came in very weak, and in fact, I'm very happy that we put them up to standard. And most of them equally succeeded. As you can see, the results everywhere is just been so.
We now talk about rising insecurity in the locality of Fongo-Tongo, West region of the country, attributed to the current socio-political unrest in the two Anglophone regions of Cameroon. Inhabitants of Fongo-Tongo in Menua division of the West region descended to the streets with placards demanding the departure of the commissioner as well as the commander. They claim that both security officials released captured men that are alleged to be members of the pro-independence fighters in the northwest and the southwest regions of the country, terrorizing, according to them, the Fongo-Tongo locality. Details with Innocent Aze.
2 weeks after Governor Awafonka Augustine of the West region paid a visit to the Menua division, certain localities in the division witnessed violent attacks last week. The attacks, it is alleged, were masterminded by unidentified armed men from the neighboring southwest region of Cameroon. A situation which has caused many inhabitants like those in Fongo-Tongo to escape their villages to safer localities. Houses have been set ablaze and over 10 persons kidnapped, leaving many in panic. We are asking the government to help us and ensure the liberation of the captives. We cannot sleep when our brothers and sisters are in the hands of persons who carry deadly weapons along on a daily basis. We stand for peace we pray on governments to restore peace drowned by pro-independence fighters in neighboring southwest region.
Vraiment éradiquer ce phénomène.
Recently, the population laid hands on this motorbike and its owner, who was in possession of arms, heading to the southwest region. In suspicion and anger, certain inhabitants of Fongo-Tongo marched to the streets with placards demanding the departure of the commander and commissioner. When we capture suspects and bring to them, they compel us to free them. We don't know why. How can you be seeking for an enemy? Instead, when we lay hands on one, they demand for their liberation. It is not normal. The senior divisional officer for the Menua, accompanying the governor of the West region, has promised the inhabitants appropriate strategies are being adopted to ensure their safety from hands of gunmen.
Nous sommes là pour les sécuriser aussi les biens.
He called on the population, members of the local vigilante group and traditional authorities to work in collaboration with security forces to wipe out terror in Fongo-Tongo.
Évaluer le fonctionnement de cette communauté de vigilance.
Latest information from a source reveals that the abducted persons have been released and it is not clear if a ransom was paid.
And the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, has officially recognized some suspended members of opposition parties in Cameroon. Kawala, according to Paul Atanganji, is no longer leader of the Cameroon People's Party. Same goes with Issa Abiba of the UPC political party and Diodone Yebga of Manidem. It is contained in a communique that was made public yesterday. Details in the following report. The communique of Minister Paul Atanganji came days after the convening of the Electoral College ahead of the October 7th presidential election in Cameroon and less than 2 days to the deadline to deposit candidacy files at Elections Cameroon. It was also issued after leaders of the CPP, Manidem, the UPC, had suspended some members, banning them from all party activities till further notice. But the Minister of Territorial Administration decided to recognize the sidelined members, who are Bapo Lipota of the Union de Population du Cameroon and Isede Kane of the Manidem political party and Tita Samuel of the Cameroon People's Party. Minister Paul Atanganji made it crystal clear that Edith Kawala, Diodone Yebga and Issa Abiba have no authority to speak on behalf of the CPP, the Manidem and the UPC parties respectively. The minister said that the move was to put an end to the in-house fighting rocking the free opposition parties in Cameroon and to restore social peace. Legal minds have been reacting differently. And some opposition party leaders, especially those of the CPP, the affected political parties, many of them have said that it is not the duty of the Territorial Administration Minister Paul Atanganji to take such a decision. How legal is it? We are going to be talking about that in the second part of this newscast. Meantime, after the declaration of some cholera cases here in the country's economic capital, Douala, medical officials are taking special measures to avoid the spread of the disease. Our reporter Franklin Moabe tells us more in the following story.
The town of Douala is officially affected by cholera, with some suspected cases and one confirmed case. Some inhabitants are aware of the contagious disease caused by poor hygiene and sanitation. We need to be more hygienic to prevent many deaths. Amongst rules to respect in order to prevent cholera, one is often neglected, whereas it is of great importance. Many people neglect the washing of hands with soap immediately after using the toilet and before eating. After the declaration of those cases in the town, hospitals are on alert. In the New Bell District Hospital, some new measures have been taken on that effect.
Nous avons convoqué une réunion de crise 2 heures plus tard.
We have organized an emergency crisis meeting and set up a ward for that purpose, equipped with disinfected materials to combat the disease.
avec tout le dispositif de décontamination.
Every person working in the hospital has a role to play in the application of these measures. It remains now the question of sensitization.
On a accentué, bien sûr, aussi la sensibilisation.
We have intensified sensitization in the hospitals by putting posters on how to prevent the disease and when infected, what to do.
Nous avons mis des affiches à tous les points où il y a beaucoup de personnel qui sont assis.
Despite these measures put in place by the hospital, physical proximity campaigns are expected in the littoral region.
And leaders of the political parties touched by the Minister of Territorial Administration's decision suspending and appointing some individuals at the helm of the party say that the minister has no legal base to interfere into their internal activities. They said that the ministerial decision is simply a non-event. Let us have the details with our reporter, Fomi Sanda.
Leaders of political parties concerned with Minister Atanganji's communique and some legal minds have lambasted his decision, qualifying it in most cases as null and void, after Minister Atanganji made public his communique recognizing as president suspended members of the CPP, Manidem and UPC opposition political parties. Kawala's CPP was first to react. In a quick communique, the Cameroon People's Party qualified the minister's communique as null and void, saying the minister had no legal base to interfere in the CPP's internal affairs. They further indicated that Mr. Samuel Tita Fon, recognized by the minister, had been excluded from the CPP since March 29, 2018.
I want to emphasize that Kawala is and remains the chairperson of Cameroon People's Party. She was elected in 2014. Whether the minister signed his illegal administrative letter, we still under the leadership of Madame Kawala, who is the the chairperson of Cameroon People's Party.
The Movement for African New Independence, Manidem Party, through the voice of their president, Jodene Yebga, suspended by the minister, consider the communique as a mere document without any legal foundation. Mr. Jodene Yebga says the minister's decision only demonstrates how the regime penetrates serious opposition political parties and implant men they can easily manipulate. The UPC's second vice president, Mr. Epi Mukwele, thinks the minister is just a newcomer and needs time to read over the documents left by his predecessor. The UPC insists that the list of ESCO members tabled at Minas by the party after their last congress remain valid and the minister cannot impose a candidate on them. The three political parties concerned have promised to carry on with their activities normally. Legal experts, however, say these parties can, among other things, write to the Ministry of Territorial Administration to revoke the decision.
And Legamine is going to be reacting in the second part of this newscast. Before we take you to our debate tonight, the president of the National Union for Democracy and Progress, NUDP, has announced the party's non-participation in the 2018 presidential election in Cameroon, calling on party members to rally behind the CPDM candidate Paul Biya. Bello Boba Maigari, in a release today, qualified the head of state as a unifying factor and an epitome of development and deserving of another term in office. Bello Boba Maigari, in his release, affirmed his solidarity with the English-speaking population and called on the head of state to seek lasting solutions to the current Anglophone crisis. That brings us to the end of this first segment of the news. Time for us to meet our guest. Stay with us. Tonight, we are going to be receiving the National Communications Secretary of the Catholic Men Association in Cameroon, Mr. Richard Ndela. John, good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point.
Good evening, Mimi.
You traveled all the way from Bamenda to come and talk about peace.
That's right.
And the Catholic Church that is currently embarking on a 9-day novena to pray for peace in the country.
That's right. In fact, the Catholic Men Association Cameroon met recently, that was on the 7th of July at the National Secretariat in Boya, and one of the resolutions they took was to embark on a 9-day novena that is being in solidarity with the bishops of Cameroon, and in particular the bishops of the Bamenda Provincial Episcopal Conference, to pray for peace in Cameroon.
To pray for peace in Cameroon, which is not the first time.
Yeah, it is not the first time. Other groups have prayed for peace in Cameroon, but I think this time around the men have taken up that initiative, because it is difficult to actually see men spend some time to pray. But this time around, they have decided, under the initiative of the Catholic Men Association, to embark on a 9-day novena to pray for peace in Cameroon, and especially in the two Anglophone regions. So it is something which is not unusual for men to come together, but it's going to create some miracles this time around, because not only the CMA will be involved, but we're inviting the Catholic Women Association, that is the women and even the youth and any other person who thinks that he or she loves peace, to join us in this novena.
Yeah, it's equally praying for Catholic bishops and priests. What makes you think that praying for peace is actually going to restore peace, given that it is not the first time that they have been praying for peace in Cameroon? It's been several months now, looking at the situation in the Anglophone regions escalating on a daily basis.
I would say that if people were not on their knees, if people were not praying, I think the situation would have been worse than we find it now. And that is why we think that this could be the miracle moment for the men coming together and bringing alongside other people to pray. God would always listen to the cry of the distress. And I think that if the men come out this time, consider that as head of the family, coming together with the women and children, because they say the family that prays together stays together. So we think that if the men come up this time around to pray, it may be that magic one. Who knows?
And you are coming from the Northwest region. Tell us about the situation that actually prompted members of the CMA to pray for peace in Cameroon.
Indeed, Mimi, there are a lot of displaced persons from some parts of the Northwest and Southwest regions who have all, migrated into the township where there is relative peace. And the Catholic Men Association think that by praying for peace, to be restored in our country, these people could be able to go back to their own places where they are very comfortable, because a good number of them have abandoned their farms and are now perching with other relatives in town. And so we think that if we pray and peace is restored, they will be able to go back. And maybe I should just indicate that the 9-day novena, which begins on the 23rd of July, that is as on Monday, will end on the 31st of July, which is a Tuesday, and it's going to end with a votive mass. Votive mass, I mean that to thank God. It's a mass that will crown this 9-day novena, to thank God for having led the CMA through the 9 days, and there will be some special collection, because masses will be celebrated at various levels, and there will be some special collection whose this collection will be used to give to the bishops, who will in turn take care of the internally displaced persons in their various dioceses.
And talking about internally displaced persons, there is the humanitarian plan put in place by the government, and the Catholic Church, or the church, is supposed to be part of the implementation phase of this project. Has the church been cornered so far?
I can't say whether the church has been cornered so far, but I think that the church, the Catholic Church, before the government came in, has been doing some humanitarian services through the Caritas organization, because I've been able to move around to the villages. In fact, I come from an area where for the past 2 weeks, the Social Welfare Caritas Commission and the Justice and Peace Commission have been moving from home to home where these displaced persons are found, and are able to take care of them, give them some needs. So if the state is coming, they're only coming to complement what the Catholic Church has been doing.
And is it limited only in the Northwest and the Southwest, or is it a national prayer for peace in Cameroon is a national initiative?
It is a national initiative. All the dioceses of Cameroon where the CMA is found are going to embark on this 9-day novena, and it will come down to the deaneries, and comes down to the parishes, and it comes down to the branches. Everybody is going to take part in this 9-day novena, which begins on the 23rd and will end on the 31st with a votive Mass of Peace in Cameroon. And Mimi, I should just add that the national chaplain for the Kizito Fobi has already published or come out with a novena prayer, which some dioceses are privileged to produce it in a booklet form like what I have, and others are still working to make sure that it gets to all the members. And even after the 9 days, people can still take upon themselves individually as families to do this novena prayer.
Thank you so much, Mr. Richard Ndelajong, for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We hope to have you some other time again.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much. That is the National Communications Secretary of the Catholic Main Association in the country, talking about the initiative by the Catholic Church to pray for peace. It is they are embarking on a 9-day novena. As I indicated earlier, we are going to be looking at the legal implications of the decision of the Minister of Territorial Administration, Minister Paul Atanganji, that has officially recognized some suspended members of some opposition parties in the country. Kawala, according to Paul Atanganji, is no longer the leader of the CPP. Same goes with Issa Abiba of the UPC and Dieudonné Yebga. We are being joined tonight by a barrister at law, a common law lawyer, Barrister Tamfo Richard. Good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point.
Thank you, Mimi, for good evening to you.
Thank you so much once again for your time. The question that many want to find out, or the concerned political parties have reacted, what is the legal implication of this ministerial decision? What does the law say?
Yes, I would like to note that the minister has acted ultra vires his authority. Political parties in Cameroon are regulated by law number 90/56 of 19 December 1990. And in that law, it is clearly stated how a political party is created, how a political party can be dissolved, and maybe some sanctions that can go maybe when a political party is not in respect to the legislation. So the people, viewers should understand that a political party is an association where people come together to aspire for votes. So the procedure to register an association is very simple. When you compile all the required documents, you do the filing at the level of the governor, who has 15 days to transmit to Yaoundé, and the authorization is given by the Minister of Territorial Administration, but he has got no power to enter into the internal affairs of a political party to dictate what he wants. So political parties are free to have on articles of association. They are free to decide on who to administer the association, and they just give the report to the Minister of Territorial Administration. So the functions of the Minister of Territorial Administration with regard to political parties are: he authorizes them to operate, he can sanction them if, for example, they are engaged into acts that will disturb public order.
That is what he cited in the communique. He talked about disturbing social peace in Cameroon.
In this case, the minister has not suspended because there is is there any complaint? Is there any complaint maybe with regard to that? What the minister has done is that he has gone into the various political parties and maintain or dictate to them that these are the people that we recognize, whereas maybe in the filing books of those political parties, whenever their assemblies are being held.
So if I understand you properly, if the minister realized that there was a problem, the best decision was to suspend the party
if the minister
and not to recognize certain members.
If the minister realizes that within a political party there are some disorders, he has the right to suspend that political party, but he has no right to go and dictate that
who is the leader.
Exactly.
And if now that some of these members have been suspended, tell us what this means.
No, the decision of the
like the Manidem political party, and he said the Kane was suspended from the political bureau of the party.
No.
We have the issue of Tita as well, of the Cameroon People's Party.
No, I think the decision of the minister is null and void. It's illegal. He has acted above his authorities. He has no right to interfere in the running of a political party. All he could do, maybe suspend that political party if he sees that there are some disorder which are tantamount to prejudice public order, or if he sees that the political party is engaged maybe into some activities that can infringe on public, he can dissolve it.
This party, particularly the Manidem, was recognized in 2016 by the Minister of Territorial Administration and Decentralization, Rene Manuel Sadi, at the time. Now, the question is, some legal minds hold that any decision by the current Minister of Territorial Administration, automatically nullifies that of the former minister. Is that the case, Barrister?
No, administration is a continuous process. And even that law instituting political parties said that before that law came into being, there were some political parties existing.
So can you take it to court?
Yes, of course. It's an administrative act that can be, you can seek recourse before the administrative court, and it will be thrown out.
Thank you so much, Barrister Tampo Richard, for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We hope to have you some other time again. Thank you.
The pleasure is all mine.
Our viewers, it was equally a pleasure having you with us in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinoxe Television. Wishing you a blessed stay in the company of our programs until we meet again. Goodbye.